Hello, it's Valerie of Val Reads and welcome to another video. Today's video is just going to be a sort of chatty story time-ish video about some of my used books and how they came into my life. I absolutely love used books. I'd say about 40% of my book collection was bought used, and I just think it's a great and interesting way to acquire books. Every book that I purchased used has some sort of story. It's not just me, going online, putting a new book in a cart and waiting 2 weeks for it to arrive from Book Depository. I went out, I sought these books out, I was pining after some of them for weeks, months, years even, and they just came into my life in a very interesting, natural, sort of authentic way, and I wanted to share with you some of my favorite stories about how some of these books came to me. I first wanted to start off with my vintage John Wyndham collection. These editions were all published in the 1970s, and this collection is a good 3 years in the making. There's only one in this collection that I actively sought out online, and that was The Midwich Cuckoos, which I bought on eBay. But the rest of these I just sort of stumbled upon throughout the years, and I was patient and I hunted them down, and it makes my collection all the more special to me because I was good and waited to find them rather than just putting them in a cart on eBay. But these three I found just throughout several visits to my favorite local used bookstore. This copy of Chalky I found in Cambridge, England at an Oxfam charity shop. I also found this one in Cambridge at a local market stall. And it was just such a joy stumbling upon these in like an organic way, and it makes my collection feel all the more special because I put in the time and the work and I just let them come into my life as they wanted to, and yeah, I love them. Another used book that just sort of magically dropped into my life was this copy of The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. I originally read this book as a library copy, and of course I had to return it, but once I returned it, I just felt so empty without it because this is one of my favorite books, and when I first read it I absolutely loved it and I wanted a copy of my own. This was before I was really savvy about buying books online, so I didn't really know where to get it because it isn't like, a huge bestseller. I was at work one day at the library, and in the library's Dropbox people can drop off donations that the library later sells at a library book sale, and someone had dropped this off and I saw it sitting on top of a pile of books that were later going to be packed up and sold, and I just had to take it. I didn't know at this time that I was free to take whatever donations I wanted, so I had to sneakily grab it from the basket and bring it home, but it was so worth it. I just couldn't believe that a few weeks after reading this book and really wanting to find a copy of it, that it was literally dropped off at my work and into my life. Yeah, it just added a special story to a really special book. Another sort of special sentimental story was when I found this edition of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. One of my goals this year was to read a book written by someone at my age, and Carson McCullers published The Heart is a Lonely Hunter at the age of 23. And I actually found this book at a market stall on my 23rd birthday. So if that's not a little bit of fate or luck or just an interesting coincidence, I don't know what is, and yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting and it's special, And one of the biggest thrills of used book shopping for me is not knowing what you're going to find. Sometimes that can work in your favor or against you, like in this situation. So this year I wanted to read an Elena Ferrante book. I didn't want to read any of the Neapolitan novels because they are hideous and they just don't appeal to me. So I picked her shortest and least ugly book, which is The Days of Abandonment. I was hoping to find this edition. I wasn't gonna actively seek it out, I was just waiting to find it in a used bookstore, and my favorite local used bookstore posted a photo of a stack of books that she had recently acquired and was ready to sell, and I just spotted the spine of The Days of Abandonment by Elena Ferrante, and I immediately messaged the owner and said, could you please hold it for me? And I go into the store, and it's not this edition that she had, but this edition. Of course I didn't know I was getting this one because she had only posted a photo of the spine, but I thought I was getting the least ugly Elena Ferrante, and I was just getting a really ugly one because it's not an Elena Ferrante book if it's not super hideous. But I just found it a funny story. Of course, I took it home and didn't tell her, like, I'm not taking this because it's ugly and I didn't think it would be. That's the chance you take with used book shopping, and I just have to laugh at myself now because of course I ended up with an ugly Elena Ferrante, so of course. Then sometimes you stumble upon a great find and you just can't believe how lucky and fortunate you are. I have a lot of great used bookstores surrounding me in my town. I've been fortunate to travel to places that have great used bookstores and I've just found some great stuff. So here's an instance of that. So earlier this year I read Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. It became one of my favorite books of all time and obviously my favorite book of the year so far. And I read this in the beautiful Penguin English Library edition. Yes, it is buttery and beautiful. I don't read the papery ones because not only do they feel bad, but they just are dull and they don't look great, and I don't mess with them. I don't like them. Ugh. Anyway, so of course I wanted to collect more Thomas Hardys if I could in these editions and in the buttery finish. Of course I could not buy them brand new because they don't look like this anymore, and I couldn't buy them online because I don't know what the texture is when I buy something online, and you can't just ask, you know, Book Depository, hey, are you selling a buttery edition or a papery edition? Just not gonna happen. But of course I'm just like a fortunate, blessed angel apparently, and you know, a few months after reading Tess of the D'Urbervilles, I was looking out for Thomas Hardy while I was out used book shopping, and of course I stumbled upon this, a beautiful buttery edition of Far From the Madding Crowd. Sure, the spine is a little bit broken, sure it was a little grungy at first, but you wipe it with a baby wipe and it's gorgeous, and I was just so happy to find this and I couldn't believe my luck. And I thought my luck would stop there. And of course, I find The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy in a beautiful, buttery Penguin English Library edition. How does this happen to me? I don't know. I'm just very happy to have these in my family, and I will never let them go. I'm still looking for a Return of the Native, but that will come, except I'm not gonna spend, you know, like $400 on it on AbeBooks because that's insane, but one day it will come into my life. I know it will because these guys have blessed me. So yeah, I might be a little bit delusional, but I was just so happy to find these. You can ask my good friend Erin, the bibliotherapist, how excited I was to find this. I was shopping with her when I found it, and I might have, you know, let out a loud noise upon finding it because I'm just like, no way, like, no, I'm not seeing this right now. Like, it's not here in a buttery edition. Like, I'm not that lucky, but I was that lucky, and that's the magic of used book shopping, you guys. So those were just a few of my favorite stories about finding used books. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments down below if you have any questions about used books, and also share some of your favorite used book stories. I love little coincidences or turns of fate or destiny or any sort of sentimental bullshit like that that you would love to share with me. I am so into that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye!